Man, what a beautiful day. You know, I subscribed to this thing called the Monk Manual, and this morning it was talking about time and how oftentimes the way that we view time is that we're racing against it. That time is pulling us in a different direction. That time, it's this limited resource. None of us are given more time, and we're always kind of wondering, are we making the best use of our time? And so we're just kind of moving, trying to jam pack as much as we possibly can into it, and talking about efficiency and how do I get more done in less time? How do I make myself more available? And what I found is this subtle thing starts to take place where we have this list, right? We've got a to-do list. We got to get through it, and so things have to be done. Things must take place, and so our hope is that what we say is, hey, let's get these things out of the way, and when we're done, then I will take time to notice. Then I'll sit down with my spouse. Then I'll look my kids in the eye. Then I'll take time to get away. Then everything is then. Then I'll get time with God. And what I found is then just never comes. That the subtlety of life is that the to-do list is just never ending, that it's kind of all like the writer of Ecclesiastes, which a year ago we were preaching through the book of Ecclesiastes during the summer, and it says this, that it's all just toiling, is all just striving, chasing after the wind. You can't grasp it. And so it seems what's most important to us is always elusive, but when we view time differently, not as something that we're trying to jam as much into and that's elusive and running away from us, but rather that time is our most valuable asset, then we begin to ask ourselves the same way we ask about money. Like, we keep track of every dime, don't we? We know what's in our account. We know what bills we have coming up. We know what we need to pay. I know how much money is in my wallet. Money, that's that green stuff that we used to hold on to, coins that we used to take care of. Now we just have cards and, Venmo, right? But what if I kept track of my money that way? And so I asked myself, how do I want to use my time today? What are the things that are most important? And in turn, what I find is the things that don't get done when I do that, at the end of the day, they're the things that didn't really matter, that weren't really that important, that didn't make that much of a difference. But to sit down in the morning and actually be able to notice breathing, to actually be able to notice sounds, to sit down with somebody and actually be able to look at them, which means like just the little act of turning my phone upside down so the notifications aren't coming up. That I've set my Apple Watch for this Breathe app to come on, and do you know what's really funny? It comes on at the most inconvenient times, reminding me to take time to breathe, and yet I'm like, I don't got time for that right now. Dismiss. And so I don't have time to fill my lungs with air. And what's interesting is actually, as you fill your lungs with air, specifically if you breathe only through your nose, 5 seconds in, hold it, 5 seconds out, hold it, back and forth. Do you know that it actually has been shown that actually stimulates the brain, increases blood flow? It's as if God oriented us to be at attention, to not be moving at a rate that breaks us. And what I found is when we won't take the time to take a break, we'll eventually be broken. And so today, I just have been asking myself, what does it look like to invest my time? For the days are short, right? Ecclesiastes tells us to make the best use of our time, for the days are evil. I think what that is not making a judgment about our time and our age and our days and saying that society is evil, though all those things may or may not be true. I think what it's saying is time is not intended, like the devil's intention is not for you to slow down and pay attention. His intention is for you actually to do more. In fact, I read at one time that it said that the devil's goal is not to make you evil, it's to make you busy. Because when I'm busy, I don't have time for rest. I don't have time for renewal. I don't have time for prayer. I don't have time for solitude. I don't have time for confession. I don't have time for deep conversation. I don't have time for God. And so the end of the Monk Manual ended with this quote: everyone dies with a to-do list. Like, you've never met somebody at the end of their life that says, I did it, except for one, Jesus. who ended his life by saying, "It is finished." And so it's to the author and perfecter of our faith, who is from the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, that we fix our eyes today. And I think maybe my ultimate act of trust is to say, Jesus, you come before my to-do list. You're not on my to-do list. You come before it. You supersede it. You oversee it. You are the one that's in charge. You created time, and you're not bound by time. So I surrender my time to you. God, thank you so much. So much that we're not just cogs in a machine, that we're not just elements on a production line. But God, that we're living, breathing, organic organisms created and ordained by you for a purpose. And that purpose isn't necessarily to produce something, it's to be someone. It's to represent you, to be conformed more and more to the image of your Son Jesus, to be in fellowship with you, to know you, to resemble you, to walk like you, to act like you, to think like you, to talk like you. And to do that, God, there has to be so much less of me. So God, I pray the words of John the Baptist, that you must increase and I must decrease, and in turn that as I lose my life, I'll save it. That I'll find that you really are better than all. And that you're all I need and all I want. But God, my heart's divided and it forgets it. And so help me to remember. Show me ways that I'm failing and flawed and confused, and help me to move towards confession and know that that's a gift that you've given me. The confession isn't something to shame me, but something to free me, to cut the bonds of sin, to be reminded that I am forgiven. And so God, I love you. This day is yours. Thank you for giving it to me. It's in your Son's name I pray. Amen. Guys, I love you so much. I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much for just being with me, for the emails you send, for the encouragement, for the smiles, for the handshakes, for the prayers that I'll never know that you're praying for me. You know that they're felt and they're being answered. And so love you guys. Praying for you. Pray for me.